Just a month ago, our garden was dying, and today it's thriving, and we want to show you just how we did it. So in our last garden tour, and this is not a garden tour, I showed you a cilantro plant that was totally dying. It was brown, it was yellow, and today it's ready to harvest. Look at this. This is perfect. The cucumbers that were dying, I'm having to tie up every day. We're actually ready to harvest. This is an Armenian yard long. You want them to get about a foot long, foot to 18 inches before you harvest. This thing's going to be on our table tonight. I can hear bees buzzing. This is something we haven't seen in a long time, but the bees are buzzing all along the cucumber vines, pollinating, giving us life.
As Marty just mentioned, we've got bees out here in the garden today. This is something we've been paying a lot of attention to. You can see that on these cucumbers, we've got tons of flowers. And we've got squash growing all over the place, squash and pumpkins, and they have had flowers, but they haven't had any bees. And we've become really concerned that we weren't going to get any pollinators in the garden this year. So this is really exciting to see these bees hanging out here this morning. We've done a little research into this, and it turns out that somewhere between 50 and 75% of the insect biomass in the world is gone. It hasn't been improving, it's been getting worse. So things are actually taking a turn for the worse. There are fewer and fewer pollinators out there. It's one of the reasons why on the Return Homestead, we're going to be working to make sure we get bees on the property so that we have our own stock of good pollinators that are handy and close by. If you're seeing some things out there in the world that you're just not seeing the same quality or quantity in the grocery store, it could be because those bees just aren't around.
Look at the size of these leaves. They're huge. And I've been taking them off to make room for the pollinators to get into the flowers. You really want to do that. I was walking through this garden just a month ago, and my heart was broken. Our garden was dying, and I didn't know what to do for it. And I started doing my research and pulling from past gardens that I'd had. And we decided we needed to supplement the gardens with nitrogen. This is something we don't like to do, but because the compost was hot and had big chunks of wood in it, it was robbing my plants. I had to cool it down. I had to give it some food, and this is the result of that. But before we go any further, I've got to do one thing. If you can hear in the background, my chickens know I'm out here. You guys, it is so wet here. It's not even funny. And here they come. Hey, Careful. Hey, King Willie. Hey, Cher. Hey, Dexter.
Morning, Fuzzies.
We've shown you the green bees in the past, and the bottom of the plants were all yellowed. Now we still have a few yellow spots, but they're climbing, they're flowering, they're getting pollinated, and the yellow has gone away for the most part. In fact, I don't know if you can see it on camera, we've got a big old bee right over here, and it's feeding and nourishing and pollinating the flowers. There it goes up into the flower. Can you see that? Our peppers are also thriving. We have already been harvesting peppers, and we're going to do a harvest today. They're still covered with flowers, and this was my go-to crops, these two. I wanted to put green beans in the pantry, and I wanted to put cowboy candy in the pantry, and they're doing wonderful. When we started this garden, we were limited on real estate. So I was sticking in squash seeds and pumpkin seeds that I had saved from Nevada and from our last garden. And we had a family of mice living in the herb garden. They had burrowed underground. And as I would plant the seeds, they would dig them up. And I would find them bitten and eaten and opened up on top of my herb bed. So I just kept replanting. Rain came, and all of a sudden, we got seeds coming up everywhere. So I had to thin them out. They were overshadowing all my herbs. Now, they say you can't transplant squash when it gets up in height. I transplanted 4. This is one of those squash. As I dug this hole, it filled up with water. That's how wet we are. Let's see if these plants make it. Like I said, I'm a rebel in the garden, and I'll try anything to see if it works. Now, if you watched our video on our fails in this garden, our corn was a failure. The red-winged blackbirds liked it more than we did. And so we only got a couple of stalks. So what we did is we came back, and because I had saved so much sunflower seeds, we replanted all this with sunflowers. And as you can see, they're coming up. Now these are mammoth gray stripes. And so they'll get great big heads on them, which we will dry for making bird food.
One of the reasons why this bed is so full of weeds is we haven't done anything to cover the soil up. Now, ideally, we would want to cover this soil with something like wood chips, something that's going to give us a nice thick base that's going to keep the weeds from growing through. Today, in this modern world, the most common thing you see people using to cover the soil is plastic. Now, I don't know if you've looked at the article yet or not. Marty has posted an excellent article on Substack just explaining why we don't use plastics or try to avoid using the plastics here on the Return Homestead. But we don't want to put plastic down over the top of this, which is why we would use something like wood chips. And we've talked to and listened to a lot of other gardeners. Probably the easiest mulch that you could put on top of a garden like this that would help suppress the weeds is just grass clippings. Now be very careful. Make sure your grass clippings are from grass that hasn't begun to sprout seed. If you've got seed coming off of the top, don't use that to mulch your garden. You'll only make the weed problem worse. But as long as you're not mixing the grass clippings into the soil, it makes an excellent top dress. You're not only adding organic matter, but a ton of nitrogen right on the surface. The earthworms will come up and begin to chew on the bottom of that grass, and you're going to get some really good vermicompost right on the top of the soil. Oh, and not to mention the fact, the nesting robins we have all over the property, they really love those worms.
Now our tomato plants. One thing we struggle with a lot here in Kentucky is blight. And my tomato plants have early blight. This is what it looks like. You want to make sure you don't cross-contaminate it, but this is early blight. So you will take these off and get them away from your plants. They spread through the soil. So we're going to come out here once this rain stops, and it's not going to be anytime soon. In fact, if you look over there on the horizon, we've got a storm pushing in, and we're not supposed to have rain today. So I'm going to have to wait, but we'll hit this with some type of fungicide. What we'll probably use, you can use copper to take care of blight, but what we're going to do is you take a tablespoon of baking soda, add it to a gallon of water, and spray all your plants. It helps with blight, it helps with powdery mildew, which is another problem we have here. As you can see here, this is a chocolate stripy tomato, and it's not going to be long before we have it. We just need a little sunshine. Some of our blackberries have made it. This we're going to allow to bend over, and the tip will take root where this blackberry didn't make it. It's still firmly planted in the ground. It is possible that it will come up, but I'm not hopeful. But if this roots itself in the ground, it'll make a new plant, and you'll just clip it in the middle. We eventually want this row to be solid blackberries, and then as the canes grow, We'll bend them over into what is our sunflower bed now and let them go there so that we'll have 2 full rows of blackberries. These blackberries are thornless and they're delicious. Again, we still have to treat for a fungus. These are our peppers. We have a problem here, but it's too wet for me to spray. But it's not a dead plant. It is thriving still, even despite this. If your plants are healthy and you get a fungal growth going on it, it has a better chance of surviving.
It's like Marty was mentioning, we do have to do something about these plants. The fungus that's spreading on these leaves is pretty obvious. You can see the brown spot surrounded by yellow that indicates the spread of the fungus across the leaf. And this leaf, as I touched the plant, just kind of fell off in my hands. So you can tell that there's just something not quite right with the health of the plant itself. There's another leaf that just kind of fell off. So we do need to remove some of the leaves that are on the plant in order for it to survive. Right now, it's trying to support these damaged leaves, and if we can get the damage away, then maybe some of the new growth can take over and improve the health of the plant. One other option that we have besides using a copper fungicide would be to simply use a foliar spray, which would be basically a fertilizer spray on the leaves themselves. Especially at night when the stoma of the leaves open up, the plant is able to take nutrients in directly through the leaves. It doesn't have to come from the roots. They can get that nutrition and that nitrogen directly into the leaf where the problem exists. That can help to kill off the fungus simply by giving the plant the tools it needs to be able to fight against it. And y'all can really see the health of the soil that we have going here now from all of the mushrooms that are popping up. These mushrooms are coming up everywhere, especially since it's just rained. So we've got them throughout all of the beds, but especially here in these beds that are in ground where we just use the compost as a mix with the clay. That's really exciting to see all of these mushrooms coming up. That's a good indication that the compost is breaking down fully and that we're getting mycorrhizal fungi in contact with the roots of the plants. And that's where they're going to get their nitrogen and their nutrition from.
Now this is my herb garden. This is my pride and joy. We use herbs for making soap, for making shampoo, and there are videos coming up. We also use herbs for tea, so I've planted a lot of herbs here in this garden for tea. Wow, bees everywhere.
And lots of birds as well. In this case, swallows. These guys are swooping around, eating mosquitoes. We're really happy to see them here in the garden.
Now we wanted to show you how you could take a very dying garden. As I was walking through this, as I do every morning, praying over my garden, and I was just heartsick at the utter failure it was. We count on our garden to keep us through the winter, and there were certain things that I was basing everything on this year, like peppers and green beans. But we didn't give up. We just kept pushing through. Our compost worked against us. The weather worked against us. Everything was working against us. But now, we have a beautiful, thriving garden. And you can as well. Don't give up. Keep pushing through. And if you have any questions for us, just leave us a question in the comments. We read all comments and we answer them. And if we can help, we would be more than happy to do that. You also might check out our Facebook page, The Returned Homestead. We put a lot of information on there that we can't or don't put on YouTube. We also have a Rumble channel. And on Rumble, we put more information and longer videos showing things that sometimes we're not allowed to put on the other channel. Well, I hope you enjoyed this transformation of a dead and dying garden to a thriving garden. And we'll show you an update on as we harvest throughout this garden through the summer. And until we see you next time, thank you, God bless, and bye-bye. Our big aha message. is that you can fix any garden.